So we are very delighted to be here with you for this fourth LEGO Braille Bricks webinar. It is called LEGO Braille Bricks Play-Based Teaching Method. And we are Mary, she's Mary, and I am
Hi.
Mark. And we are both Braille consultants for the LEGO Foundation. We are very happy to see that a lot of people from various countries are joining us today. So don't hesitate to put in the chat where you come from. That's always nice to have that kind of information, especially at that time that we cannot travel very easily. So that's always nice to be able to travel, even if it's virtually. So just a few reminders of what we have said in the previous webinar is that LEGO Braille Bricks is a place-based conceptual tool and is made to teach Braille to visual impaired students and in educational settings, and it's for children aged 4 and up. Yeah, so the point of this presentation will be about the pedagogical concept that we have made, and to give you explanation, and we can say a few key to better understand what is on the website legobraillebricks.com. So we will make a really short summary of learning through play and go then straight away on the holistic skills that we have selected to be able to be done with the LEGO Braille Bricks. Then we will spend quite a long time on the activities with the different categories and where to find the activities in the website and how is the sheet of the template for the activities are made. And we will finally say a few words about tips and tricks. This pedagogical concept was made when we are usually speaking of teachers, but that's really an important thing. It's not only for teachers. That means that if you are an O&M professional, if you're a teaching assistant, if you're working in close relation with the blind students in a school, or if you're an OT or whatever, is what we are used to say teachers, but you really have to understand that word when we say practitioners, in fact. And just for you to know, Mary is an OT and I am a teacher, so that's why it's always good to know that everybody is welcome as a professional as far as you are in charge of teaching Braille. So Mary.
We just wanted to make a short review and summary of what already we talked about with Pierre and Matt last week, but just to be sure if some of you were not here that they understand, we started to build the pedagogical concept of the LEGO Braille Bricks upon the research from the LEGO Foundation. So we started with the characteristic of playful learning experiences, and as you might know, they are 5, and we really try to imagine all the activities, thinking of them, how they can have a lot of these characteristics. For example, it is really great if an activity can be joyful, of course. If you want children to play, if they don't feel joy, that's not very fun. Actively engaging, also iterative, that's really great if you can do things again and again and repeat your actions and learn from mistakes and things like that. That's also a good point if you can be sure that the activity is meaningful. Of course, if children can find a meaning in what they are learning, that's also so great. And socially interactive, that's not easy online and remotely to find interaction in the activity, but we really try to have that in mind when we build the pedagogical concept. And we know for sure that when you install these characteristics of playful experiences, you help the child achieve the broader skills they need to work on life. So that's it. So the 5 holistic skills, the 5 category of skills we talked about last week too, and they are the creative skills, social skills, physical skills, and emotional skills. And I said the cognitive skills, yes. So cognitive skills, that's easy. We usually understand what it is at school. Creative skills also, it is easy with all the kind of courses you can have with music, theater, and so on. But social and emotional, they are very interesting especially for the visually impaired children, and we know that sometimes they are struggling with social and emotional skills, so we wanted to have them in all the activity as well, because we think it is an important point. And just a few words about the physical skills. We know that most people think of gross motor skills and fine motor skills, but in that list of skills we also have all the sensory skills, so everything about touch, auditory skills, and so on. So that was just a short reminder with all the technical issues we're having today, sorry. And then that's where we started with the LEGO Foundation research.
Yeah, so what we have done, in fact, we wanted to know what kind of skills could be worked with the LEGO Braille Bricks. So we have analyzed and separate 2 kinds of curriculum. So we have a selection of academic skills, that is to say what is usually found in each country from the government usually. And also we have taken into account the visual impairment skills. So for the part of the academic skills, you have listed on the slide a few countries that we have read the curriculum that they use in their schools. For example, it's written Australia, but that's really depending on the country you are in. In Australia, we were concentrated in what they do in Queensland, for example. And that was an important and nice point and job to do, because just to say a few words, if you analyze the French just for preschool, the curriculum for preschool, you have about 400 of different skills to be reached between the age of between 3 and 6. So that's a lot. And in some countries, like in Denmark, for example, they have less skills, but they are more general ones. And so we wanted to have a good analyze and to propose something that can be understood whether you live in Denmark, in France, in the US, and wherever you are in the world. And about visual impairment skills, that was not that easy, we can say, to find, because in most of the countries they don't have what they call a real curricula. That is, for example, in some country you have pre-Braille assessment or Braille assessments, or you have in one school teachers have worked and made their special curriculum for their schools or their district. And so we try to use that kind of work, and what we have preferred, we can say, and we try to make quite the same that is done in the expanded core curriculum from the US. So that's why you can see the little square, not square, and the little circle you can see, and that just to understand that in fact in the center of this circle you have the core academics. So that's, of course, we can say very important, because that's what every child, whether they are blind or not, have to work and to reach at school, to learn at school. And all the little colorful squares that are around are specific skills that you have to work when you are visually impaired. That is, that's orientation and mobility, assistive technology, or develop tactile skills, and so on. So that's a very important point, because if you are blind, you have to work both sides. You have to have enough information and to have reached enough skills in the specific areas that I've mentioned, to be able to reach the skills that are proposed for everybody, every children in a country. So we have analyzed all those kind of curriculum, and we have made a selection of 200 skills. So 100 for the academic holistic skills and 100 of the VI holistic skills. And it was just Mary and I that made a decision by reading if the skills were relevant to be done with the LEGO bricks, and if it's something that is very important for a blind children or not. But we wanted to be sure that those skills will be understandable, we can say, in various countries. So that's why we have organized a group of specialist teachers in various countries, and just to ask them to give them their ideas about the skill we have selected, where they're relevant for the children they are working with, or if some skills were missing, for example. So we have made a long work with them, and we finally reached the selection of 124 holistic skills, and that the skills that are actually in the website, in the pedagogical concept. So, of course, you can, those skills are holistic, you have always the 5 categories: social, cognitive, creative, physical, and emotional. And you will find we can say the skills where they have to be. If it's a skill about learning how to count, for example, it will be a cognitive one. If it is learning to wait your turn when you're playing a game, it will be in the social field, and so on. So what we can do is have a look in the website and to know where to find the information. So in the website, you have to go in the Learning Through Play section. And here you will find again the 5 cards with a definition of what are the different skills each time. If you don't remember, you can have this information. And if you, for example, you click on the emotional skills, then you will have the list of skills, starting with the academics, because just it started with the A, we have arranged them in alphabetical order. And you have, for example, recognize self-value. And then you have the visual impairment skills. That is to say, for example, complete with simple directions and limit with adults. So every time in each category, you will have the whole list of skills. And one thing that is also important is that you can download in DocX directly on your computer the list of skills, and you can add more if you want, or delete one if it's not relevant for you, for example. Then at the bottom of the page, you will have access to the rest of the skills, and for example, the physical ones with, once again, the definition of them. And always started with academic skills. But we wanted to show you this special one because that's a very, very long list, and that's understandable because when you work with visual impairment skills, that's, of course, that's very important because you have the auditory skills that are to be worked. You have all the manipulative things, all the tactile and fine motor skills that are worked in this session. So that's why that's the longest list, we can say. And each time when you go at the bottom of the page, you have access to all the cards each time. So if you want to refer to them, that's very easy. So Mary, now maybe a few words about the activities.
So we've written so far 90 activities and they are split in 2 groups, Prebraille and Braille. I always say so far 90 because we are hoping that we will have more and more of them, and we are just waiting for people to send us new ideas of new activities, in fact, to add on the website. So Prebraille and Braille. Prebraille for us, it's all the prerequisite for Braille, the early Braille, I must say, and it goes from very simple skills to the full knowledge of what is the Braille cell. And then when you start learning all the Braille characters, you go in the Braille section. So just to have a quick view of what we mean with Prebraille, it's about tactile skills, exploration and discrimination, of course, fine motor skills and manual or bimanual coordination, everything about finger isolation and things like that, the spatial skills, notion of left, right, front, back, and so on. And a lot of activities with rhythm and pattern recognition, and also the spatial organization of the Braille cell, and also knowledge of the body image, which part is named how and where is it, things like that. So that's for us some of the Prebraille skills we will work on with the activities. So in each category, Prebraille and Braille, you will find 3 subcategories on the website, and the activities are split among them. So you have 15 activities in the manipulation section, 15 also for the orientation section, and 15 for the constellation. I can see a question about the age. We didn't want to add age for the activities because we know that it can be difficult if children struggle with things. For example, we saw children age 15, 14, and they had to go to manipulation activities because they had to work on some tactile skills or manipulation skills, and so we didn't want them to know that they will work with a 4-year-old activity, and that doesn't make much sense, especially when you have other disability and so on. So for us, more than age, it's a kind of progression. So you go from the manipulation activities, and that's where you will learn how to discover and get used to the bricks, handle them, assemble them, and put them on the base plate. Very simple activities, and I must say that they can be done without LEGO Braille Bricks. You can do them, perform them with all kind of bricks, especially the biggest one, the Duplo bricks. If you work with the children, a child under the age of 4, it can be dangerous for them to use the bricks because of shock reactions and things like that. So you can do all the activities in that section with a Duplo. Then we have the orientation section, and there it is activities about how to position the bricks on the base plate. So 2 different things, vertical, horizontal, you can say landscape or portrait. And then when you know the difference, you also have to be aware that there is a correct reading position, I must say, and you have to find the gap, the flats and smooth bottom of the brick with no studs. So all kind of activities to help the kids work with that. And then we go to the constellation section. We chose a funny and poetic name. It's something about pattern recognition of the Braille cell. So constellation, that's because of the stars, and it's really to discover the Braille cell, how studs are arranged in it, and how to differentiate it. So the children will learn where is dot 4, dot 1, and they can find a brick with dot 1 and dot 4, but they don't know yet that a brick with dot 1 and 4, that's a letter C. So when they will try to learn that, we will go to the other section. Just to let you know that next week we're gonna have 3 hands-on webinars. We call them hands-on because we're gonna perform activities. So next week on Tuesday it will be about manipulation activities. The day after, Wednesday, activities for orientation category, and then the other day about constellation. So we're gonna perform 2 activities with you if you want to come, and we're gonna have some short video with children doing the activities too. Then the Braille activities, sorry. Again, what do we want to work with a Braille activity to have a good efficiency and development of all the sensitive and tracking skills, that the children learn the character identification. Of course, they will have to read and spell and write things, so work on that kind of skills. It can be also interesting for them to have a knowledge of some specific Braille codes like contracted and contracted, music, math. We will know how to use the bricks for music and math, and we hope that we will also be able to make groups and discussion to work on advanced math, for example, and also things about literacy and numeracy skills. So you have the 3 categories of Braille, again. Character, literacy and numeracy. So character is just when you learn character one by one, you don't know yet how to assemble them, but then you will learn that a brick with a dot 1 and a dot 4, that's a letter C. Or a number 3, it depends. When you know all that character, you can go to the activity called literacy, and then you will be able to assemble them letters by letter and to play with words, with language, with reading and writing. So again, 15 activity here, and then you can go to numeracy. It's the same kind of activities but with numbers. Again, so not next week but the week after, we're gonna have 3 hands-on about Braille activities. So one called character, the other literacy, and then
numeracy.
Yes.
I'm listening to what you say.
That's great. Just a quick view of how you can go and find the activity on the website. So on the front page, you have a quick activity finder. If we scroll down, if you know exactly the name of the activity or one name, you can find it in the search button, or you have already the quick activity finder with the category, or you also have all the activities presented at once. So again, if you scroll down, you can click, you have some cards and you can click, you can load more to see all the 90. That's a lot for sure, but you can also go right through the activity section. Then you find again what I showed you, the 3 category of Prebraille and the 3 category of Braille. If you click on, for example, manipulation, so just click on it, and then you have the 15 activities so far of Prebraille manipulation. You can see all of them, and they have small cards with drawings and also a short resume of it. So cake decorating, for example, it's develop fine motor skills, exploration of the base plate, pattern identification, and creativity by decorating a cake. And if you click on it, then you have access to the full sheet of this activity. I think I talked too much, so maybe I can share it with you, Mark. And you're going to talk to us about one activity, this cake decorating activity frame, as it is always the same
pattern.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have chosen to make always the 90 activity with the same templates, so that it's easier to navigate through the different activities. So that's why we would like to take a few minutes to tell you the different sections that are in each template, and of course what we wanted to include in each section. So the first part is very easy to understand. You have the title, and we have chosen to make a title that is quite very easy understandable. So it can be sometimes something poetic or referring to nature, like Save the Turtle, for example. And you can have some titles that are really what we can use at school. We can say that's build tower of alphabetical letters, for example. And you will find also information about the time, the duration of the activity. Of course, it's an average. If the child is doing the activity for the first time, if the child is very young, if he is struggling and having cognitive issues, for example, of course, they can take longer, or it can be done in a shorter time. And for us, it's not very important to. We are not going to use a timer to make each activity, but that's important for the teachers to have in mind what time usually is needed to make the activity. So that's an important point, because you can use the activity as a warm-up activity during your day, for example. So if you know that this one is lasting 10 minutes, and then you are going to work on other things with the child you are with. And also you can combine a few activities to make a whole lesson plan. That's also what we will explain in 3-4 weeks from now. And you of course have also the number of participants. Usually in the Prebraille activity, they are made for one participant at a time, but of course you can make the activity with 2 children either side by side, or participating and building the same activity. And the main Braille activities are usually made by 2 or 3 kids, because they are more like game style, we can say. So the first part is let's play. So we have chosen to explain what is the activity about, and what are the rules of the game, addressing directly to the child. So of course, as a teacher, you just have to read what the activity is about, and to see if you like the activity, and then go on reading the whole sheet of paper. So for example, for this one, that's imagine the base plate is a giant cake and needs to be decorated. Imagine all the bricks are chocolate chips. Place all the bricks on the base plate wherever you want, but do not let them touch each other. And as you can see, you have in this activity 2 pictures, but you can have between 1 and 4 pictures describing the different steps of the activities. And we can say that if you like the activity, if you want to go and to make the child practice the activity, then you go to the next session, which is how to prepare. It's a quick list to know what will be needed to prepare the activity. And the thing that is important, sometimes we are asked why we haven't put this section before at the beginning, like in the recipe. Mm-hmm. But we have chosen to put let's play at the beginning, like we really want you to be seduced, and we really want you to have
quick access.
Not a quick access, but to we can say to like very much the activity, and then to prepare it. So for this activity, you need 1 base plate, 10 random bricks, and 1 ball. And as a teacher, you have to place the 10 bricks in the ball, and that's it. The activity is ready to be done by the child. And that's something that is important, because if you're in a mainstream school, for example, you can prepare the day before in a box and put everything in a box, and then you just have to open the box and let the child play. But also, if you are an itinerant teacher, you can go once you are at school, and you can straight away in 1 minute prepare the activity. Then you have the facilitation tips. So that's a really important part of each activity sheet, and it's we can say advice that we can give to a teacher or to a professional that is not used to work with a blind students. Just an example, the first line: cook a real cake and add decoration to it. That seems to be silly, we can say, to say that, and that's easy to do. But that's just to remind to the teacher that if you're not used to work with a blind child, you may not imagine that it can be very difficult for a blind child to imagine what is a cake decoration. If you haven't had the opportunity to touch a cake, if your parents haven't described you what is on your birthday cake, for example, of course you cannot understand what the activity will be about. And that's really to have in mind that sometimes things can be very tricky and difficult to do for a blind child, or just to understand, even if with no cognitive issues. The second aspect is ask the child to explore the base plate. And because it's quite a big base plate, a big square, and once again, if you are not used to work with blind students, you may not have the idea that this base plate can be very difficult to explore. Of course, the child will have information about what is under his finger, but not about the whole base plate. So once again, that's information to help we can say the people that are not used to work with blind students. Then you have possible variation, so that's easy to understand. You can how to make the activity easier or more difficult. Just the first example is use a smaller base plate. So it can be either easier because the child won't have a big amount of surface to explore tactily, but it can be more challenging and more difficult because if you still have 10 bricks and they don't have to touch each other, of course it will be more difficult to do. And the last one is perform the activity with peers, because we encourage, as the bricks are really an inclusive tool, we encourage people to do either side by side or collaborate to do the activity. Then you have, and I'm going to go quite quick on this information because of course you have once again the 5 holistic skills, and of course each skills that are in the list are about the activity. So all those ones are relating to cake decorating. And if you click on the little icon directly on the activity sheet, you will have access once again to the whole list of skills. And that's something that we were asked to do that because some teachers are using the different skills as assessment skills. So it can be used as assessment, or it can also be an idea if you're not willing to make always the same exercise and to work always the same skills. So you can have a quick and nice overview of the activity that you have already worked with one specific child. Then you have the Did You Know section and the template. The Did You Know section is general information about learning through play, how to facilitate learning through play, how to teach a blind student, so that we can say that if you read the 90 activity sheets, you will have a perfect, we can say, overview of learning through play and teaching a blind student. The last point is about download and print, and it's what we like is the download button down in DocX, because you can download the activity directly on your computer and make it your own. The idea is really now we have proposed activities and now they are yours. So you can change, add things, remote other ones, and really take the power, we can say, and propose to make them yours.
Then we have another section that we haven't seen yet, and for that you go on the facilitation section, you scroll down, you have a lot of information about facilitating with learning through play, about mindset, about all the characteristics of playful experiences, and then at the bottom you have 6 cards. The first one is facilitating activities for visually impaired children, and in that section we talk about inclusion, and we tried to give some advice, simple and easy advice on how to behave when you have a visually impaired child in your class, for example, or that where you are working with one and you don't know anything about. I think most of you already know that, but for example, it's just that you have to describe things, to call children by their name and things like that. If we go to the second card, It's called preparation tips. Then we have tips and tricks. And here it's about how to prepare, save time, sort the bricks, arrange the base plate and things like that. So you have a picture of what we did with alphabetical tower, using one base plate to store the bricks on it. Other things on how to prepare the base plate. For example, you can use small flat tiles one by one to make sections on the base plate. If you don't have it, you can use type, things like that. So I just encourage you to go and take a look at it and see if you can find ideas. You have the material tricks, the third one. Also in it you have some tips and tricks about adding new materials, using other products. For example, it's really great to add minifigures if you have some. We also have a way we used to make our own LEGO Braille Bricks before. That one, using the very flat small tile one by one, other one with studs, and you arrange them on a classic regular brick 2x4. So you can also have access to that and see how it is. And also about adding objects like tactile dice, tactile marker on the bricks and so on. Once again, I go back on the facilitation section. One card called Be Inspired, and that's where you will find more information about for example, the knowledge, the LEGO Foundation knowledge base. You have a direct link to it. The LEGO Braille Bricks community on Facebook, also a direct link to it. You also have the link for the LEGO 6 Bricks community on Facebook. It is something not made for the visually impaired, but it's activities with Duplo, and it can be really interesting to take a look at it, and that's great. And you also have the LEGO audio instruction website. One more card about the LEGO Braille Bricks webinar. The one we are having today is in that card. So you have the list of the remaining ones and the direct link to register on YouTube, the timetable, the timeline, and you know everything about what is in it, in there, in those webinars. So we'll still have hands-on. One about tips and tricks, one about build a lesson plan, and the last one, which will be a breakout session. We will try to build together with you lesson plan, starting with a real setting situation and trying to discuss together what kind of idea and activity we can mix for a special situation and child. And then the last card, we call it Webinar Replay. That's the new one, and that's where we've added the direct links to the replay on YouTube. We have a new YouTube channel, so we just quickly added them, the one of Tuesday and last week, the 3 webinar already that we've done, and you have the direct link to the YouTube channel. You can click on them and directly go online. So I've just talked about the LEGO Braille Bricks community. So far we are more than 700. That's where we really want to share things with people to build that community. We only have one community on Facebook because it's really easy to translate and to share information, and we really wanted with the LEGO Foundation to build a strong community, an international community, so not one community in English and one in another language, because it is really important and rich that we can share all kind of things and what's happening in different countries. So we really hope it can be great to have only one community and to share more and more information on it. So I encourage everyone to join us in that community. So far we have a lot of English people, American also. Yes. This is what's going to happen next week on Tuesday, the first Handson webinar, as I told you about, called Manipulation, and we will discover and explore 2 activities of this Prebraille section, and we're going to have some short videos with children playing and performing the activities. So I think that's the time for now to stop, but we can stay here if you want for questions. We have the time you need if you want to ask, just to open your microphone or just go on the chat. I'm going to check at things. Someone has question about the translation of the web page material. What is your question?
Yeah.
So far, many partners have made translations. So you have a French website with the activities in French. It's called abracadabraille.org. And many partners have managed to translate activities, and you can find them on their own website.
Yeah, and
so
yeah,
the question is about Spanish. Yeah. So far, the Spanish, the Spain is has not yet launched, and the distribution has not started. So we will have to wait to have the activities in Spanish till next year, beginning of 2021.
Concerning the Spanish language, is that going to be also managed by a Spanish association or how is it going to work?
Yeah, in Spain, in fact, in each country you have a different association or organization for the blind, and in Spain it will be ONCE.
Yeah.
It's a big and well-known association in Spain. I'm sure you know it. I'm saying that because for those of you who are not, who not know that, is that a big organization, and they also organize the lottery in Spain. Is there other questions?
No, I don't see any.
Yeah, well, if no one...
That you definitely have to join the Facebook group, so come and join the Facebook group. Does any one of you have already the bricks and started to work with children and make some activities?
Yeah, I have one question. I work in the board game medium. I mean, I do a lot of board games, and there's always a structure really fixed on how do you write the rules for games. And I was wondering if you base some of your work that for the activities on that kind of structure.
Oh, sorry, I think we lost
the
end of the question.
Yeah. Maybe just to answer quickly the question, all the work that we have been doing is based on a lot of years of research and teaching about teaching and learning through play by the LEGO Foundation. So of course they are based on that.
Yes, I can see question from New Zealand. Thank you for joining us so early in the morning. Yes, you are in the list of the country who will start distribution in 2021, so as Spain, Italy, Belgium, a lot of other countries. So we are waiting for you to start performing and playing with the activities.
And I can see that someone is saying that she has started using the bricks, and the child loved the apple trees and cake decorating activities. And the apple tree, that's one of the activities that we have chosen to share with you next week with a child that are very enthusiastic by doing the activity.
A 4-year-old one, and the other is 10, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So that would be great if you can join us and share what is happening with you and your students. Yes, it can be great to have your own LEGO bricks for the next sessions. If you want to perform them during the meantime, we will do them. So if you don't have them, you can still attend. And I think that can be interesting for you to watch all the video we've made so far before the lockdown, hopefully. But if you want to take them, that can be also interesting to test them while we are doing them.
And also, also what you can do if you are a sighted person yourself, you can just prepare a few drawings on a paper and cut them and just to manipulate. That's it will be easier because the first ones won't have any things to do with letters. So it's just combination of dots.
And again, for next Tuesday, it's manipulation. So if you don't have Lego bricks, just take regular bricks or Duplo, you can do the activities. Someone is asking if you have a new idea of activity, how can we join you? So on the website, the legobraillebricks.com website, you have a contact button at the bottom of the website. And if you just click on it, you can write to us. We receive the email from that website, so we will be really happy to see what you came with, or you can share on the Facebook. It's up to you.
And if I'm not making a mistake, I think that Anne have made. If that Anne is from Denmark, she has made a wonderful job with and shared also things about how to prepare and store the bricks and so on. So.
Yes, it's me. I'm here. Yeah. Thank you.
It was wonderful. So don't hesitate to share again and again with, even if that's short post. That's very interesting.
Okay, that's fine. I really like to love to work with the children, and he loves to work with the Lego bricks. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were talking about translation, and also you have translated the activity in Danish.
Yes, I have. It functioned really good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for sharing, and keep going like that.
Yeah, I will do that.
Thank you.
And I think someone has asked about how to go on the YouTube channel to have a link. I think the question was asked twice, so that's why.
Okay, so once again, you just write Lego Braille Bricks, but if you're not sure, you can go on the website, the legobraillebricks.com, and you click on the facilitation section, and then you have the webinar replay with direct link to the YouTube. And as soon as more webinar will be available on YouTube, we will add the new links, so it can be easy to access and to go there. More questions? Or remark, comments?
Yeah.
Yeah, we really try to make an accessible pedagogical concept, an easy one with easy activities to perform, and I think you enjoy them, and it's easy. I hope it is easy to go on the website and to have access to them, to find them, and to understand.
Yeah, and especially after this session, now you have all the summary of what is in the website. So now, of course, it would take time if you want to read everything, but now you know where to look, and if you're interested in skills or activities or tips and tricks, you know you can navigate easily.
And we know that it can be really a lot, 90 activities. So that's why we are organizing the next webinars, because we know for sure, we've been doing that for many years, that sometimes you cannot take 1 hour to stop and try activities and to play on your own. So it is difficult to have to take the time to test all of them. So that's why we suppose that doing those webinars, one for each category, that will help you to have access to at least 2 of them, and hopefully we will do more and more in the future.
Marie and Mark, this is Christy from the USA, and I just wanted to let you know that we have sent Lego kits home to our students because we are not face-to-face right now, and we are on Zoom. So it is working out great even on Zoom. I will have the Lego board and I can demonstrate with their parents or something, and then the kids are working with their parents. So it's fantastic. Thank you.
Oh, great.
Oh, great.
We're happy to
But-
hear that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're yet on the website, on the Facebook, but if you can share how you managed to organize that, I think that it will interest a lot of people. Because
I just tried to do the Facebook, but it says you have to be admitted, so I'm waiting to be accepted.
We will
Okay.
accept you.
Great.
Yes, we also thought of parents. Of course, we know that the LEGO Braille Bricks are not meant for, they were not made for parents, but we know that sometimes when you are a parent and children go back home and they talk to you about what they did at school, that's great if you have a quick idea of what it is and how it works. So we'll really try to make activities understandable by everyone, not only TVI specialized teachers, but also parents and all kind of people who can work and live close to the children.
Yeah.
Especially right now, we know that a lot of sessions are remotely done, so it is difficult.
And I also wanted to add, he has siblings that are visual, and they enjoyed feeling and looking at the Braille bricks. So that was nice that they were able to engage in it also.
Yeah. And that, yeah, that's very nice to see that they can share with siblings or with their peers at school, and that's something that is very nice.
Yes, we can see on the chat, parent engagement is very important. Sure it is. That's what, and one point of our webinar, we're going to try to build together a small folder to have a small kit of LEGO Braille Bricks to bring back home for the child. And we tried that with some French students, and that worked great. They were really happy to go back home with an exercise and to be able to show their parents what they learned and how they can write a word in Braille with the bricks and so on.
Great idea.
But if you have some, you're welcome
Please
to
share. Yeah.
Yes.